Today we have the 2020 Toyota Avalon XSE Hybrid, and this might just be the best mainstream hybrid sedan that you can buy for 2020. Toyota's got one big change for this 2020 model that might just sway you from a regular sedan to a hybrid sedan. And in this review, we're going to go through the exterior, the interior, and go for a test drive, and I'll tell you what kind of MPGs I've been getting. Let's get started. Now on the outside for this 2020 Toyota Avalon, it's the same body style as the redesigned version as last year. It's still the more aggressive design compared to the previous generations though, especially for a hybrid model. And I showed you the touring model last year, so this one's going to be all about the hybrid trims, including the XLE, XSE, and Limited, and we have the XSE right here. So starting out on the exterior of this 2020 Avalon, we have LED reflector headlights with a smoked chrome bezel and LED daytime running lights. The biggest difference here though is that compared to the touring model last year with LED projectors, those were significantly better. The reason is, one, they could go further, they had a better beam pattern, and I was so curious about it that I went to IIHS to look at their headlight ratings. This got a poor. The models with these headlights got a poor rating, and the models with those other headlights got a good rating. At night, they still do an okay job for the most part, but they're just not as good as they could be, not as good as some other vehicles. And one difference is that the Limited model is going to give you dynamic turn signals up front. This XSE trim is going to give us this black sport mesh. It's a piano black grille, very large, while the XLE and Limited are going to give you a more toned down dark gray grille. And up front you'll even find air curtains that are functional, which is interesting to see on a hybrid, but it goes with the aggressive design. And then this paint color is the Parisian Night Pearl. It is a very deep paint color. It is flaky and metallic-y looking, and it matches this car well. It's a premium looking paint and looks nice. The wheels are going to range from 17 on the XLE, 18-inch dark gray on the XSE here, and then 18-inch super chrome on the Limited trim. The XSE is going to continue some piano black with its mirrors. Every model is going to get blind spot indicators, while the Limited is going to get memory and driver's side automatic dimming for the mirrors. The piano black continues on the window trim for the XSE, and this XSE even gets a sport tuned suspension as opposed to the XLE and the Limited model. We're also going to get a piano black rear spoiler on the trunk lid, LED taillights on every single model, except you'll get dynamic turn signals on the Limited, and then you're going to get hidden exhaust on all of these hybrid models. And compared to the smaller Camry sibling, this is a few inches longer, it's got a longer wheelbase, and it's going to give you some more room inside, which we will cover. Now coming to the back of the Avalon with this smart key system, right up under the N and the O, you've got a button that you can press to open it up, and this will give you just over 16 cubic feet, which is pretty good. It's not the best for these sedans in the mainstream class, but it is still a really nice trunk space, good wide opening. And for example, you can see I've got a jogging stroller with large wheels that I can get in here, although it's not easy, but that's really appreciated because I'm used to putting stuff in SUVs with these press vehicles. We don't get a lot of sedans, and it's nice to still be able to fit something like this back here without too much trouble. It is a split folding seat with these buttons here. You can fold those down, so you got some longer, bigger items you can fit. And both sides still get a couple little hooks right here to tie stuff down, even down below for your net, for your cargo net. And there's a spare tire, a temporary spare tire underneath. My only complaint with the Avalon is a lot of vehicles have like a little strap or a little handle back here, but it's got nothing. So, I mean, if your trunk is dirty, expect to get your fingers dirty. You know, small complaint, but for more of a premium Toyota, I would expect this. The smart key system for the Avalon is standard, which is nice. It's a really cheap feeling key fob, but I honestly think that this is going to be a reliable and durable one. It's not like a soft material that's going to wear off like some key fobs. Remote start is 3 punches on the lock and hold it. Otherwise, you can do it with the remote start app. Otherwise, the only problem is once you open the door, the car will shut off. And I've complained about this in other vehicles, but right now it's unlocked. To lock it, you can just touch those lines. To unlock it, just stick your hand behind the door and you're good to go. Now, one thing to really consider with this 2020 Avalon is that it's really low getting in and out of here. It's not like before where it seemed to sit, you know, kind of a middle height. It was a little easier to get into. Now, this is a low car. It's low to get into, and it's difficult for some people with mobility issues. The one positive to that, at least to me, is that once you're in here, you feel enveloped in the cabin. You just feel like everything is in a good spot. So definitely test this out yourself. Now, the XLE and XSE are going to give you heated 8-way power seats that are Softex material with 2-way lumbar support. The XSE though is going to give you ultra suede, which we have on our seats right here. And the seat bottom cushion is soft. The back cushion feels good. The bolstering seems to feel pretty nice on here. My biggest complaint though is that these headrests are too far forward. They're just intrusive, and I complained about that on the touring model as well. I want to lean my seat back further so that the headrest isn't pushing me in the back of the head. So Toyota, if you watch this or you're listening, please make headrests that can adjust forward and backwards a little bit to at least accommodate for some of us. Now once you get up to the limited trim, you'll get leather seats that are heated and ventilated with a memory setting, and then you'll get 4-way lumbar support, and your passenger is going to get those same 4-way lumbar support as well. But on the XLE and XSE, passengers don't get lumbar support. The steering wheel is going to be leather wrapped on every single trim. I like the way it feels. It is nice. It is manual, tilt and telescoping on the bottom 2 trims, but on the limited trim, you'll get the power adjustability with the memory setting. And the steering wheel is going to be heated on the limited trim. Now the interior of this 2020 Avalon is completely different than previous generations, but still the same as last year. No major changes in here. It's still practical and easy to live with, but it has nicer materials. And there's a variation of trim pieces depending on which trim level you get. Now I showed you a longer detailed look at the interior on that touring model last year, so this is going to be a quicker overview. Now starting out looking on the doors, you've got a nice soft padded armrest. There's a little grab handle right there where you could store a phone. Even some nice stitching and nice material right here that is soft. Pretty much anywhere your arm and your hand is going to go here as well. Then when we get to this upper portion, it doesn't feel cheap, but it's a little bit harder. Then you kind of have this unique trim. All windows are automatic up and down, which is nice. Door handle is nice as well. It feels good. And a pretty good sized bottle holder and little storage bin right to the side. One thing you'll notice is that you've got a really large air vent right here, which is actually pretty cool. This car does a great job of heating up and cooling off. Even some nice materials right here. And the steering wheel is leather wrapped. It's got a perforated section. It is not heated though. You'd have to go up to the limited trim for that. But this is the newest design for Toyota. They don't have the cruise control stock anymore, but you still have all the controls that you need. And this one even has paddle shifters, as you can see, so you can kind of mimic some shifts. One thing that we're missing that I would like to see on this middle trim is rain sensing windshield wipers, but you'd have to move up in trim for those. Push button start right there. And it's very quiet when it starts up because we're in EV mode. As you can see up there, it'll have that little EV icon. And since that's the first time I started it up, the engine just turned on, so the EV mode just went away. So this instrument cluster is standard. It is 7 inches in the middle for a digital display, and then your regular gauges on the left and the right. And over here, this is fixed. It's not an actual tachometer, but it kind of shows you if the needle's in the charging section, like if you're braking, if you're charging the battery. If you're in the eco mode, it's going to try to keep you in EV mode. And then of course, when you get to power, the engine's going to be on and it's going to give you the power that you need. Otherwise, this is really simple, easy to use. The backlighting is nice. The information on here is really easy to scroll through. So on our main screen, you can scroll with the buttons on the steering wheel. You even have a digital speedometer. You can see your driving support features right there, your lanes, automatic or radar cruise control, your radio. You can even check to see where the power is coming from, the battery, the engine, which is pretty cool. On this little gear icon, you can change through several different settings, like your safety settings. Blind spot monitoring is standard, and this has the first version of the Toyota Safety Sense instead of the 2.0, which is a little bit more improved with lane centering. This does not have that, but it still has a lot of features, and that kind of wraps up this information display. And that 46.1 miles per gallon is accurate. That is exactly what I've been getting in about 158 miles of mixed driving, highway and city, and it's been great. I've had it in sport mode a couple times, I've had it in eco mode a little bit, and it's just really been awesome just daily driving this, getting this type of efficiency. Now as we move over to the center stack, it is really unique. It's like a floating design. It's kind of interesting. You can see how it runs down into the center console. I'm not a fan of this part right here. It just kind of gets in the way of the little storage bin, but really not a big deal. It is easy to use though. It's easy to live with. You have some real physical buttons up here on each side, just like some other systems. It is customizable. And with this Entune system, you'll hear a lot of complaints from a lot of different car reviewers, but when you bounce around from system to system in different brands, this is not as nice, but it's still easy to live with, and it's honestly not that bad at all. I mean, it's simple, it works well enough. You can change the color on here. We have Apple CarPlay standard, but no Android Auto yet, even though this is our 2020 model. We also get Amazon Alexa. We even have the JBL sound system in here, which is a 14 speaker 1200 watt system, which does sound really nice. That's optional on the XLE, XSE, and standard on the limited trim. Now I just shifted into reverse and we have a couple different views, a regular and a wide angle view. I just leave it in the wide angle, but you can still see the bumper right there, which is nice, and you have dynamic lines. If you want the panoramic top-down monitor, that's only optional on the limited trim for the hybrids. Right below the AC vents, we have dual zone climate control and our heated seat buttons on each side. You still get physical buttons for your climate controls, which is nice to see. Everything's easy to use. The buttons feel just fine, even though they are a little bit plasticky. And then right below that, we have a nice large storage bin. So this is kind of a two-way design here. We've got this wireless charging mat right down below everything right there, which is optional on the low XLE, but standard on this in the limited. And then you can even, see, my hand didn't fit in there with the shifter up here, but you can fold this forward and cover up your phone and still have a couple things right here. And this is actually a really nice soft padded little pad right here. And we even have a 12-volt power outlet as well. You still have some nice materials that follow these cup holders, and they've got this nice little metal ring in them, so the detail in here is nice. Fixed cup holder here, and then kind of a squared design for different objects. I've had no trouble fitting anything in here, and you can even fit a phone in there, diagonal for larger phones, and it works. My water bottle has had no trouble fitting in there and no trouble with any drinks. Now, even though this is a hybrid, you still get a sport mode. Normal mode is just what it's always in, and then eco, and you can put it in EV mode and stay at low speeds. Brake hold, electronic parking brake, and this armrest is really nice. It is fixed, it's just really long, and it's not too bad to share with the passenger, and I love how far forward it goes to where if you like to have your elbow on there and on the steering wheel, it works. You can go ahead and open that up, and you've actually got 3 USB ports right here. So you've got the 2 fast chargers, and then you've got one right there for your Apple CarPlay, and we even have an auxiliary port in here. We have this removable tray as well, and a nice soft lining on the bottom in here. And as you can see right there, there is even a little light. A couple things to my surprise is that the glove box does not lock. It is just medium size, it's nothing too big. We have this automatic dimming rearview mirror with garage controls. No garage controls on the XLE, I believe. And there's actually no sunglass holder up above, which is kind of interesting. There's nowhere to really specifically put sunglasses. Maybe the soft pad right there would be a good spot for that. These side lights are LED, which is nice. And then you have the sunroof up above, which is just a regular size sunroof, which is optional on the XLE or standard on the rest. Now the back seat of the Avalon is a nice place to be, and probably the biggest reason you would take this over the Camry is for this improved back seat space, among some other things, but that is one of the biggest differences. As you can see, sitting right here, I can sit here with my hair touching, but my head is not touching, so I can be comfortable. I've got good knee space, good foot space as well. The main armrest on my door is soft, which is welcome. In front of me, we've got AC vents and 2 fast charging USB ports on every single trim. And I've had a rear-facing car seat right here in the middle, and I haven't had to adjust my seat. And then when I'm sitting next to it, I do feel a little bit squished width-wise, but it's still a pretty spacious back seat. There's even a fold-down center armrest with a couple cup holders. And if you want to spoil your backseat passengers on the limited trim, you can get these outboard seats heated. My biggest complaint with the back seat, though, kind of like the front seat, is that it's just low to get into. And my biggest thing about that is getting a car seat in and out of here. On these outboard seats, it's probably not bad, but we put ours in the middle, and it is a pain in the back, literally, to get this in and out from the middle. Now under the hood, this is where the biggest change comes for this 2020 model, which I'll tell you in just a second, but we still get the same hybrid system as last year. It's the 2.5 liter direct and port injected 4-cylinder engine paired with the hybrid electric motor, which is going to combine for 215 horsepower. It doesn't sound like a lot, but this is actually fairly responsive, and it seems to provide just enough power. It's paired with the electronically controlled CVT. eCVT. So it's not the same as like the CVT that's a physical CVT in the Corolla, for example. It operates differently. We'll talk about how that feels in the test drive. One of my favorite things about Toyota with this hybrid system is that every single one of these models gets the sealed nickel metal hydride battery, which is under the back seat. And I love that because it's the best option for extreme temperatures and probably for longevity and durability. Some may argue, but Toyota's been using this for a long time, the nickel metal hydride, and it has proven itself to be reliable. So reliable, in fact, that they are putting a 10-year, 150,000 mile hybrid warranty on all of their 2020 hybrid models. So if you've been on the fence about a hybrid vehicle, just rest assured that now you can get 10 years and 150,000 miles covered of the hybrid system. Miles per gallon is great at 43 city across the board, or 43 miles per gallon city, highway, and combined, while the XLE is going to give you one bump up to 44 miles per gallon. All right, everyone, we are on the test drive in the 2020 Avalon, and I just reset the miles per gallon. I'm going to let you know throughout this trip how it goes. It's going to be more of a conservative drive because I just want to see how this does in this short period of time talking with you guys. As you saw, or if you didn't see, my entire time so far with this vehicle, I have averaged about 46 miles per gallon, which is just fantastic. And I haven't necessarily been trying to get good mileage, but I've been driving a little more conservatively than I do in the other vehicles, the other press cars that I get. And I'll kind of show you what modes we're in. Right now we're in normal mode, and kind of update you on whether we're in EV mode, the engine's on, the engine's off, that type of stuff. So right now the car just put itself in EV mode. I'm just kind of coasting, and as you get on the brakes in a hybrid, you'll notice that they feel a little bit different. The Avalon does a nice job of kind of disguising that though, to where they don't necessarily feel that much different. You have the regenerative brake portion, which helps charge the battery. So riding your brakes a little bit down a hill or something can actually help to charge your battery up. And now taking off, we are still in EV mode. It's still in EV mode. Not technically the set EV mode because I'm going 29 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour now, and it still hasn't turned on the gas engine. It was a pretty light takeoff, but just an example of, you know, some easy driving, how well that can do for you. And it's still in EV mode, so I'm gonna get on the brakes here. It's charging the battery a little bit, and so far we're at 42.8 miles per gallon. Now, of course, here I'm going to have to get on it a little more. We're in EV mode, and then I step on it a little bit, and right away the engine turns on and it gives me the power that I need. And I'll get on it a little bit for you a little bit later. So now we're getting up to speed. I let off the throttle, and right away it went into EV mode. So I'm holding 43 miles per hour right now in EV mode. If I had to go up a hill or something, it would turn the engine on, but this is all electric, so you're using no gas at all momentarily. And now the nice things about the Avalon, as a lot of you probably know, it's a comfortable riding vehicle. It's a smooth ride, it's a quiet ride, it's more refined than it was the previous generation. And now the engine is on, probably because the battery's running out of power. We need a little bit more input, but we're still getting good miles per gallon instantaneously. And this is a little bit stiffer than the other models, at least for the hybrids anyways, because this has the sport-tuned suspension. So if you really want the cushiest ride, go for the XLE because it has the smallest wheels, the most amount of rubber on its tire, and you don't have a sport-tuned suspension. The Limited doesn't have a sport-tuned suspension, but it's got bigger wheels like this one, so it might not be quite as smooth as the XLE. That touring model, the gas model I had adaptive dampers, and it was just impressive all the way around. Comfort, handling, the sound, the acceleration with that V6. So this is a totally different animal here. And in this drive, I mean, we haven't really hit any traffic or anything. We're not really going to. I'm going to stay away from that. But you actually do better in traffic. And we're getting 51.9 miles per gallon. So that's fantastic. The actual steering feel here is not too bad. The car is responsive, it's direct, it goes where it's supposed to go, does what it needs to do, but it's not sporty by any means. The touring model actually felt pretty sporty because it was fairly responsive. And this entire time sitting at this stoplight, it's been in EV mode. The engine has not been on. Oh man, it didn't give me a green arrow. So I gotta wait for all these people, but the gas is not gonna be on. So definitely a thrifty city driver, still thrifty on the highway as well. All right, now as I get going here, still in EV mode, and I had to throttle up enough to where the gas engine turned on, but I got up to probably 15 miles an hour before that happened. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put it in sport mode. And it still actually has me in EV mode, but sport mode's on, pedal down. And that got me up to speed, you know, decently quick, not bad at all for a hybrid. And then when I get on the brakes, the EV mode still comes back on, and that dropped our MPGs quite a bit. But this car is very well planted. This sport-tuned suspension probably has something to do with it. Got decently wide tires, and for hybrid, for a big hybrid sedan that's been known as just a comfy car, it does really well in the handling department. It still accelerates just fine. The CVT, you can manually shift or mimic shifts with this, at least with the electronically controlled CVT, but it's really responsive. So pedal and it goes. It's just responsive in any mode really. Eco, it's going to delay that a little bit. It's going to try to keep you at your best, but if you still want to, you know, compete with traffic and merge onto freeways and all that, there's no problem with this car at all. I'm going to actually go ahead and put it back in eco mode for the rest of the time. And we're getting 39 miles per gallon still at the moment since we took off. Now, in terms of living with the Avalon, I've really enjoyed it. I like this car a lot. You know, you don't get as many sedans anymore, especially with the reviewing outlets out there. This center console has worked fine for me. I've kind of complained about these middle pieces right there just being in the way of the storage bin, but overall it's a functional area, a functional place to live with, and it's comfortable except for the headrest. I just really don't like the headrest at all. If you want to get the cushiest, like the ventilated seats, the heated steering wheel, heated rear seats, the panoramic view, some of the top end features on the Avalon, the adaptive headlights, you got to go for the limited trim for these hybrids. Now we are just kind of coasting in right here. As I get on the brakes, you can probably see that going to the charging section right there. So we're charging up the battery as we brake. The brakes do a pretty good job. There's a little bit of getting used to with them though. And then as we get going, even in eco mode, wasn't hard to get going from a stop there. It gave me gas when I needed it. And now, I'm not sure if you can hear, we're on a louder surface of road. And in the last time I had an Avalon, I had great decibel ratings. This one's still quiet. We have laminated glass up front and the side windows on these front windows. I didn't have any rattles last time, but it seems like there's just a subtle, maybe little loose plastic piece behind the rearview mirror or something like that I hear only on a rougher surface. Probably not a big deal to fix, but it's been something to note. Wind noise is really low, well contained. Road noise is a little bit present, but it's still a quiet vehicle overall. And I'm actually going 50. And it's in EV mode because it's just a straightaway and I'm just kind of just gliding through. It's really impressive. And now going down a hill, it's really gonna soak up the MPGs here. So we are getting 43 right now. And even in eco mode, if I go ahead and get on it, it's responsive, it's quick to go. It's not a burner, of course, but for those of you looking for a real sensible hybrid option with a long warranty, something you can commit to, this is a great option. It's spacious, it's got a lot of features, it's efficient, and it's just, you know, with Toyota and their hybrid warranty now, and they've had a good hybrid warranty, but with this new one, and knowing that they've been making these hybrids successfully for a long time, this is a really safe option. Alright, so, and what do you know, right on the button, we are at 43 miles per gallon on this trip with some eco, some normal, some sport, a little bit of a mix. Not too bad. So in conclusion, is this the best mainstream hybrid sedan? Well, it's still really efficient. Even though it's not a plug-in option, the hybrid system right here is dependable, it's reliable, it's got a super big long warranty now, which is new for this 2020 model. And overall for this 2020 Avalon, it offers just about everything you would want in a mainstream hybrid sedan with some efficiency, comfort, and features in mind. Leave your comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day.